and the Heliotrope, and
Yep.
those go well together with Rescue Rabbit, I
Rescue
guess.
Rabbit, yeah.
I don't think we have to explain this.
No, Rescue Rabbit is if anybody wasn't around when Dinosaur Rabbit was a thing. Basically, you can banish it, special summon 2 normal monsters from your
Get
deck
rid of this guy.
with the same
Get
name.
these 2 guys.
Yeah, overlay them into Ophion, into any of your Volsaur monsters, anything
So,
like that.
Okay. We got a Rescue Hamster.
Yes, Rescue Hamster. Again, I believe that's Duelist Alliance. Could be in the new challenges. Oh, it's the new challenges.
Yeah, new challenges.
Yep. Basically, what that one will do is when it's normal summon.
Welcome back to the very last round, as we like to casual round 8 of YCS Bochum 2015. Thank you for being back, Rob. How was your break?
The break was good.
Was good?
I got some time to kind of wander around aimlessly.
What did you see?
Lots of people playing cards. This Yu-Gi-Oh thing.
Oh, okay.
There's this big event going on here today.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, there's like loads of players and like announcements, and there's some giant cards and some regionals.
Did they have fun?
Yeah, it looked like we're having fun.
All right, you guys, of course, know that we are having fun. 7 rounds already today. We've seen some great moves. We've also seen lots of innovation in different decks.
Yes, there has been some brand new stuff that has come in since the last YCS.
Yes.
Star Saras, which we've actually only seen once, even though we thought that it was going to be really, really huge.
Yeah.
There's a lot of hype about it. Now, there's a few different bobs. I mean,
Big
stuff
elephant
like
going into the weekend, Necros.
Necros, yes.
People thought it would be super dominant. In fact, there were more other decks being played than Necros decks.
Yes, at the moment, when we say other, we don't mean just decks in general, because obviously there would be. But what we mean is other as in different small rogue decks.
Let's bring up the graph for you guys so you can look for yourself. This and all the other statistics that we got, as well as lots of strategy articles, you can also find in the written coverage and take a look at it for as long as you want. So the top 8 decks, and this is not the top 8 players, but I mean the 8 most represented decks in the field. No surprise there, Necros, Shaddoll, Tellarknights. Those are the big 3.
Yep.
And then Burning Abyss in the 4th place. We haven't seen Burning Abyss yet, but we know that a few guys playing it are doing rather well today. And we're going to see them tomorrow, I think.
Definitely. I would enjoy seeing a Burning Abyss tomorrow, just to see exactly how it's dealing with the fact that it's missing one of its major plays.
Right. And in our last round for today, we got a bubble match. That means these 2 guys have 5 wins, 2 losses. If they win, they are going to be in for day 2.
Yep.
If they lose, they're out. So everything is on the line for them.
Especially because this is both of the players' first YCS.
Yes, both of these guys, for the first time ever at a YCS, both from the Netherlands as well, but they are not both playing the same deck. In fact, it's quite the opposite. Kevin van Kooten playing Shaddoll, and his opponent, Teun Bruggenwert. Bruggenwert is the correct way to pronounce it, is what our...
Is what we've been told.
Yeah, Dutch judge just told us. He's playing Infernoid. So let's take you to the table where these guys are sitting at the moment, getting ready for the very last match of Swiss. Teun on the left and Kevin on the right.
Okay, so Mathematician has hit play, sending Felis to the graveyard. Felis can then actually special summon itself because it was sent to the graveyard from the deck by a monster effect. And out it comes. Now this means, yeah,
It's a Felice
interesting.
tech.
Well, no, it's just an easy way of getting out a construct or a winder first turn. In this case, of course, it's construct because it's a dark and a light monster.
Okay, very aggressive opening.
Immediate construct there. Set up plays later on and have a big monster that will any deck kind of struggles to get rid of because mostly they want to special summon monsters. Special summon monsters that attack a construct aren't going to have a good time at all.
All right, speaking of having a good time, what about this opening hand for Teun?
Card Trooper, so he's going to be able to dump some stuff into the graveyard. Reinforcement of the army. Let me just check his deck list and see which version he is running. Yes, he is running the Raiden, so he's got a mini Lightsworn engine, so he can start dumping cards with that. Ring of Destruction, always a nice card. And Barrel from a Different Dimension is pretty much the only card in his deck, I do believe, that allows him to bring cards back that's been banished. Infernoid banishes a lot, which means that Imperial Iron Wall definitely hurts it. Luckily for him, Kevin is not playing an Imperial Iron Wall in any iteration.
All right. So that concludes the opening move for Kevin, who's now got the Falco, the Construct, and the Mathematician. And for the first time in this match, it's up to Teun.
Teun is playing his reinforcement of the army, which again has, as I said, his only target for that is going to be his Raiden. There's the Raiden.
And I think we're going to see that exact same move again.
Very possible. He wants to thin out his deck now and try and get the Infernoid monsters that he really wants into his graveyard. Which in this point, Nunku would not go amiss.
What do you think about the reinforcement of the army? And the reasoning, I mean.
Did he get a reasoning to hand? Is that the card that he drew for turn?
I think so, yeah.
Reasoning is an incredibly good card in this deck, mostly because all of the Inferno monsters cannot be normal summoned. So you end up dropping your entire...
His opponent called 4 and he called it correctly.
That is...
Wow, some mental
awful.
skills we got there.
Well, you know that it's going to be a 4 in that deck in particular. The only other option is probably Card Trooper at 3, which is being ran. Then again, he doesn't really know what's... As soon as you play... I was about to say he doesn't know what he's playing, but as soon as you play a Reasoning, you know you're playing against an Infernoid these days. I mean, the only other deck that I can think of that does it is That Wacky Magic, which is one of my favorite decks. But
Yeah, some people would say that means it's a lot about fun and slightly less about competitiveness.
what, That Wacky Magic?
No, the people
Oh,
that
just-
know you when you say it's one of my favorite decks.
That Wacky Magic is an incredibly good deck. You play Reasoning. It runs all spell cards apart from Grand Maju Garzette and Golden Homunculus, which both gain attack equal to X amount times the amount of room from play cards. You play That Wacky Magic to banish your entire deck and attack for 40,000.
All right. So what do we see here? We got the Raiden together
is
with
that?
a Ring of Destruction.
Yes, Mystical Space Typhoon is getting rid there.
And when has the ring been... Oh, the Mystical Space Typhoon was activated on Kevin's own turn, right?
Yes,
so the
they
ring
switched
can be chained. And it's hopefully one of the new rings, because that card text has changed a little bit.
I believe it looks like a premium gold, although he may be lucky enough to have an older copy.
And in case they don't, we are, of course, got our judges that can fill them in.
Okay, so he's chaining El Shaddoll Fusion with the beast there to bring out another construct.
So, good way to work around that Ring of Destruction.
Yes, El Shaddoll Fusion, an incredibly good card. It's essentially tagging out as Ritual Beasts would, but for Shaddoll.
All right. And Kevin is left with just a Mathematician in hand. He really dropped his hand here. And who is actually the favorite going into this matchup, in your opinion?
Shaddoll.
Shaddoll?
Yeah, Shaddoll at the moment. Infernoid are really, really good, but I believe that they're missing just a couple of cards, which I think they're going to be getting in future sets as well.
And at the moment, it's not looking too bad for Teun, however. Don't you think?
Teun,
With this setup?
he does have the ability to set up more cards, but Infernoid feels very luck-based because you're counting on milling the cards that you need to mill, and if you don't have the cards to mill them, you're not in a great position. I mean, Infernoid works as a really good iteration if you mix it with Burning Abyss. And people always laugh at me when I say that. But it's actually a really good idea, because you can play all of your Infernoid guys, and then they have the ability to tribute themselves. So you do everything you need to do that's tricksy with the Inferno guys, and then just tribute them away so you can do all of your Burning Abyss plays. Now, that is a Parapara Cerberus, which has gone to the grave there.
You can banish it from the grave when you take damage.
Yes, and it destroys one of your opponent's cards as well, I believe.
We've seen that as a tech card in a few decks, every now and then popping up this weekend.
Yep, it's, I believe, looking at the rarity as well there, it's part of the premium gold set that's just come out.
I'm not 100% sure, to be honest.
And now an Armades has come out.
And another Shaddoll fusion. It's Kevin
That's
can
smarter.
unleash all of his plays without without Teun stopping him in any way, doesn't
Yeah,
it?
he's basically not opened fantastically. And a Shekanaga has hit the field.
So many boss monsters.
Hmm.
And that is also a lot and lot of damage.
And Core has gone to the graveyard.
And he's, just to confirm something, because it came up in the Twitch chat, Teun is playing 3 copies of Raiden. So he does have targets for his 3 reinforcement of the army.
Yeah, as I was saying when he was playing Reasoning, he called 4 because 4 is usually the target. Raiden is generally one of the only monsters played in there other than Card Trooper. And you always play more Raidens than you do Card Trooper. Generally. There's no real reason for it. It's just how people like to play it. Okay, so a massive attack.
And what is Teun hoping to draw here? What do we have in his deck? We got the Charge of the Light Brigade, not helping, not much.
Now, Kevin doesn't actually have any cards in hand, I believe.
Yeah.
So Shekanaga isn't really a threat, or does it still get to negate, or does it have to have a monster? Because I believe it's a and then, if you do.
You can negate the activation if you do destroy that monster. But you have to have a
Then
Shaddoll card in there.
send.
Then send, yeah. You know, but
Yeah.
you can only activate it if you while you have a Shaddoll card in your hand.
Yeah, that's fine. I mean, he doesn't have any cards in hand, so he doesn't really have anything to fear. So if he was to get an Anunku right now, he'd get rid of the field and attack for 3,000. Okay, just checking in his graveyard there. Is there anything I can summon? And he's banishing 2. That would probably be for an Attendel or for a... Yeah, a Saitamass. Which, if it attacks a monster, if it's still alive at the end of the battle phase, it can remove from play or banish a card on the field where your opponent, one of your opponent's monsters.
So it's going to be a 2-for-1.
Mm-hmm.
And he's attacking into Armadas.
Which is fine. Because it's a little bit bigger. It's 2,600 attack. End of the battle phase, it's he is trying to...
That was the El Shaddoll
he
fusion.
did
So
have a Shadow
did,
card in his hand.
Yeah, he did have a card in his hand.
Okay.
So the app wasn't quite up to date there, but he did have another Shaddoll card. And that makes, of course, all the difference. And that is some good news for Kevin, who now has to rely on his 2 remaining cards on the field, Construct and Shekinaga.
Better from a different dimension, banishing and getting back out Saitamass. Which is interesting.
So, how did that burial really help him here?
Well, it let him get Saitamass back out. That is around it. In the back row is actually only a reinforcement of the army.
Yeah.
Maybe he's hoping for...
Now Kevin is gonna
Yeah.
go in there, and that is it. Yeah, that's enough
Yeah,
damage.
the problem with Infernoid at the moment is it can either be incredibly consistent one game to immediately just play everything you want to do, and some games it's just Brick City.
It mostly loses to itself, is what
Yeah.
some guys pointed out on the Twitch chat.
Well, sometimes you do mill your entire deck. Like, your deck will be gone.
That's not good.
No.
If that happens.
No, not usually. But it's good that you can't activate things like Reasoning or Monster Gate if you don't have monsters in your deck,
Okay, yeah.
which
yeah.
immediately makes them dead cards, if you got that problem.
Well, okay. Well, you called it, that it's going to be in the favor of the Shaddoll deck.
Yes.
Is that going to change in between games now with the side decks playing a role?
Let's see what we got.
We
Just
see an Archlord Christia for Teun. And also Space Typhoons, 3 copies there in the side deck. Shadow Imprisoning Mirror, pretty good against Shaddoll. Karma Cut, Needlebug Nest.
Karma Cut would be interesting and probably hurt quite a bit. Needlebug Nest is just to drop more cards into the graveyard.
Yep.
It's one of those, if you can swap out an option, you go for it.
And then he's got a Soul Drain and 3 copies of Mistake as well.
Okay, so Soul Drain is probably going to see play. I believe that's the one that negates monster effect activating in the graveyard for 1,000.
Yeah. Monsters that are banished as well as monsters in the graveyard cannot activate their effects. That started
Starts a
chain.
So that is basically all of the Shaddoll effects.
Right.
So that would hurt quite a lot, as would an Archlord Christia. Archlord Christia is great, although there isn't really any fairies in the deck at all.
Yep.
Being able to tribute summon Archlord Christia, stopping any special summons is really, really powerful.
But how is it better than a Vanity's Fiend?
It has 2,800 attack, and it returns to the top of the deck when it's destroyed.
And is that something that you want?
Not always. It really depends what kind of situation you're in.
So, situational card, sometimes better, sometimes worse, I guess.
Yes, but if you're special summoning monsters with Infernoid, you're tributing, send it to the graveyard, because it's low, you can then, if Christie is gone, just special summon your cards back, tribute them again, and then you've got your Christie back.
All right. What about Kevin's side deck? What is he going to introduce here?
I would say possibly a Denko Sekka, depending on what he's thinking time might be playing. Maxi is a definite must, because basically all of the Infernal monsters are special summoned. Lancia would hurt because it would stop any sort of banishing happening. Dark Hole is always good. Light Imprisoning Mirror wouldn't probably come in, but it helps to stop Raidens from actually activating their effect. And Dust Tornado. The thing is with Infernoid, most of the cards are going to be in the graveyard anyway.
Yeah. All right. So it seems like Teun has a little bit more outs in the side deck, but he needs them. Like you pointed out, that the matchup is not exactly in his favor. But you got to give it up to both of these guys because it's their first YCS, and they both still have a shot at the very last round to advance to day 2. And that's not something that everybody's accomplishing. We've heard quite a few players, quite a few named players, are no longer in competition. So it is an accomplishment.
Interestingly, there's no Void Seer in this Infernoid deck. Now, Void Seer is one of the best Infernoid cards. It's a Forbidden Lance with no drawback. And when it's in the graveyard, you can banish it to stop one of your monsters being destroyed.
Yeah. All right, let's take a look at what's going to happen in the second game. Teun is kicking things off with 4 back row cards. And Kevin did draw into these cards. There's a mathematician. And we don't have the contents for Teun's field. Oh, now we got them. Take that back. 2 Space Typhoons, a Burial from a different dimension, and a Shadow Imprisoning Mirror.
Shadow Imprisoning Mirror will be devastating in a moment.
Yeah, but it's the only card that's really doing anything here, isn't it? Because the Burial needs some setup. Mystical Space Typhoon, well, needs some targets. Let's see, speaking of targets, Kevin's got a Mistake, Might Crush. Those might be ending up face down. He's got the Lancea. Lancea also an interesting tech pick this weekend that we've seen a couple of times.
Basically, the biggest decks want to banish cards. And by biggest deck, I mean Necros and Ritual Beast. Ritual Beast need to banish to be able to work. Okay, so a Black Rose Dragon just hit the field to wipe all of the options.
Wow.
Which is a really, really quite a good play there.
Yeah.
So, reasoning is happening, and I believe a 4 is going to be called. We'll probably have our judge. Yep, there he is. 4. He's frantically running to the side of the screen and flashing fingers at us.
And
Okay, so he hit the Raiden.
again, that is exactly the level that Kevin called. So Teun is now left with an Archlord Christia in hand and nothing else, and he is forced to pass. Wow, that Black Rose Dragon was more devastating than we've ever seen one before.
Yeah, does not look good.
Normally you don't see that early.
Okay, so here's charge of the Light Brigade. Ooh, and he does now have enough Infernoid cards in his graveyard to start playing more Infernoid cards.
But Mistake is being flipped and denying Teun the surge.
That's not what he's looking for.
No.
What he wants is those cards in the graveyard.
Definitely not.
So, he's thinking about this. Does he have enough for an Unku? I do not know.
Yeah, that happened. All of this happened a little bit fast, especially that Black Rose Dragon.
Well, he needs 3 other Infernoids in his graveyard to bring out the Unku. And if he can, it means that he can destroy everything on the field. Well, all of the monsters. And then swing for 3,000.
I see 1, 2, 3. I think I saw 4 Infernoids.
2. Oh, he's just banished a Nunku, so I believe he's going for Attendel. Attendel can attack twice.
Well, it's also not too bad. And there's the check of the graveyard.
It's also only level 8, meaning that he can special summon another Infernoid monster.
Yeah, which is very important to keep that in mind.
Now she's just touching the effect veiler, and yeah, there he goes.
So no second attack in the battle phase.
Not this turn.
Not this turn, at least, no. So now Kevin is left with just the Shaddoll Beast. So he wasn't really able to press the advantage here that he gained with that Black Rose Dragon.
No. Infernoid has a very good kind of skill at being, as long as it gets the cards in the graveyard, just turning things around. So Shadow Imprisoning Mirror is coming out. There's a Mind Crush set there. That was a bit of a attack. And Beast gets no effect. He's in a good position.
And there's the Shadow Imprisoning Mirror. So Teun at least drew his tech from the side deck.
Okay, so there's Shadow Beast still in hand. And we're just waiting for
that other card to pop up.
Oh, it's also a mistake.
Oof. So rough beats for Kevin.
Yes.
Who started so promising, and now I gotta say his deck is letting him down a bit.
A little bit, yeah. I mean, the first game was immense. And I believe that's either a Harmodic or a... Oh, what's the other one called? Petrulia. That looks like a Petrulia. Petrulia can destroy spell and trap cards once a turn. And there goes a mistake. Now, he's just special summoned that. He does have in his hand a Christia. If Christia hits the field, it's probably going to be game over. Now, attacking first is a good option. Just to make sure that he's got all of the... So, poke.
And that's a big poke.
Get all of the damage out of the way, and then bring out a Christia and go, what up?
All right, and now he goes for Christia.
There's the Christia. Now, there's no special summoning and no effects.
That is... that's quite devastating.
And that's what Christia do.
And it's just like, I don't know, 3-4 turns after we thought like Teun was out of this game completely. After he lost 4 cards to that Black Rose Dragon, he's suddenly back with just 2 cards. The Shadow Imprisoning Mirror and the Archlord Christia.
And here we go, and Kevin drew into a Maxi.
Yep. Well, that's not going to do much. He can set it, of course, and buy himself some
sorry, it was
time.
an El Shaddoll Fusion, which can't be used.
Yeah.
Because he can't special summon.
So
Now, that has actually shut down all of the summons currently in Teun's deck as well, because all of his cards have to be special summoned.
Yep. But with a Christia on the field that can put in some work, you don't mind that too much.
So, Shadow Beast in hand, El Shaddoll Fusion down, and he's just drawn another card, and I believe he's picking up all of his cards.
Yeah.
Yep, there we go.
What a game! Such an interesting start with that Black Rose Dragon. We're like, oh my god, Teun has given this away, you know.
And then Christia just hit the field with a bang, and that was it.
Yeah. Whoa, so it's 1-1. What an epic duel here in that last round of Swiss. Between those two first-timers, both from the Netherlands. 2 out of the, I think it was like 80 players from the Netherlands that showed up this weekend. Second most represented nation, right after the Germans, of course, which have the home advantage working for them.
Now, you can't see our angle, but we can actually see what Kevin's looking at here, and I'd just be interested to see what he drops onto the table. Yeah, he's just sat back just a slight bit. But he has a lot of options in there still. It doesn't look like he really changed anything.
Yeah, and that's also interesting. Why? Sometimes you do change cards after the second game, even though you already made sure that your deck is ideally built for that respective matchup after the first game, because it depends on who's going first, for example. That can make a difference.
Yeah. Okay, I don't think he actually sided.
And with that, we're ready for the last duel of the day in our feature match area.
Now, Mistake is incredibly good against Necros, because Necros does nothing but search.
Yep. But
it
how
doesn't
good is
seem
it here?
Not great. There is only 2 cards that it is stopping, which is the charge of the Light Brigade. Oh, and there's the reinforcements of the army as well. But again, all he's doing is stopping his opponent searching for Rydens. And when you can still play the cost of charge to the Light Brigade,
Yep. Not so much. Not
not
much
really that helpful.
help. So would you side out of Mistake here?
Very possibly, but it always slows things down. Artifact Lancia should have gone in. I should have. Well, we saw that Maxi actually did go in. Denko Seka, not really helping that much.
All right, let's look at Kevin's opening here. He's got a Shaddoll Hedgehog together with 2 Mind Crush in his back row, and he's holding on to an Effect Veiler and a Lancea.
Yes. So he's just banished a card there. Unfortunately, because it's an inherit summon, it doesn't start to chain. You can't chain to that with the Lancia. Okay, so Raiden's using its effect. Is he going to Effect Veiler it? That is also a Petrulia. Petrulia being able to destroy spell and trap cards.
And there's the reasoning. 3 times the charm.
Oh,
he's
thanks.
calling 4 again. Let's see if it for the first time.
I don't know whether
we don't see the cards that are being flipped.
I don't even think that Ryan waited for him to call. He just came over.
Ryan just waved his hand. He's like, it's got to be 4 again. Whoa!
Whoa, and
It's a
down comes a Christia.
Wow, that is a big play. There is the Christia. That just decided the second game.
Oh my word!
This is how you win with Infernoids. You just play your reasoning.
Just play reasoning and hope you hit something.
No, not just something. You hit Christia. The stone cold nuts. So now suddenly Teun is absolutely sitting in the driver's seat here, and Kevin is standing with his back against the wall. He's left with the Lancia in his hand, gets the surge, but is it going to be enough? Immediately dropping the Effect Veiler as well. It's like, that must be a shock when you're like, oh, there's that reasoning again. He's got to send another level 4 card to the graveyard.
Oh, yeah, Raiden's going to go to the graveyard. Oh,
And then suddenly you're suffering a stroke when that big Christia is hitting play. Wow. So there we have it. And that is such an impressive field for Teun. He must be feeling amazing.
There is the Petrulia there as well to basically just now pop something. And the Lancia. Lancia's been contributed to stop any banishing happening, but he can't actually special summon.
Yeah. So Kevin is fighting tooth and nail, dropping the Effect Veiler, dropping the Lancia. He's got the searches.
Space Typhoon.
But wow,
he's
look
going to
at
get rid
Teun,
of
how is
all
tearing him apart here.
This is game, I believe.
This should be it.
There's enough attack there for game, is there not? 2,800, 1,700, and Petrulia, I believe, has 1,500. So it's almost.
He might be left with just a few life points, but he's got almost nothing in there, and he's got a Shaddoll Fusion. And he's drawing his second card. And there is the
There's
handshake.
nothing there.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
What an
Reasoning
explosion. Teun Bruggenwert showing us how it's done. Losing 4 cards to a Black Rose Dragon, not even breaking a sweat, coming back with a Christia together with a Shadow Imprisoning Mirror, shutting down his opponent with just 2 cards, making it to the final game, and then Reasoning, the MVP all of a sudden.
Reasoning is kind of ridiculous. Like, in that deck particularly as well, there's a lot of cards that don't averagely normal summon at all as well, that you use it with different decks as well, but this is the deck.
Yeah.
The deck.
So was that better than our Mecha Phantom Beast play that we've seen? It's kind of close, yeah?
It's close, but no. No, Gustav Max.
Well, okay, well, the Gustav Max was an amazing play, I gotta say. But the thing is, even though that was surprising, this just was so much more surprising because you've seen 2 Reasonings before, and you're like,
yeah, but
yeah,
at that point,
he's gonna send another level 4 to the graveyard.
This is what I see as a misplay on Kevin's part, because he saw the Christia in the second
Oh,
game. And
you think he should have called?
He should
7?
have called. It's 8.
Oh, it's 8. Okay.
Yes, he should have called the 8.
But you can't really blame the guy after
No,
being right twice
no.
with level 4. And also, oh my god, our judges had a great time calling that game. So Ryan is there. Every time the Reasoning is being played, Ryan is like looking over to us and he's like, 4. And he's like, nah, didn't hit. Nah, didn't hit. Because he's rooting for his, well, they're both his countrymen, but Ryan is Belgian. I take that back. Hopefully he will never watch this. And suddenly that Christia hits play.
Yes.
Wow. I'm still
Christia MVP.
All right, so Infernoids.
Yes.
Making it to day 2 of YCS Bochum, one of the
Yes.
many decks that ended up in this other column. 362, in fact, we had 2 more than Necros, and we had 8 other decks that have been played more than 30 times.
Yes. I mean, in that gap today, we've seen 2 of those decks.
Yeah.
On stream, and both of them completely destroyed.
Yeah. So it tells us that the format seems to be wide open.
Definitely.
It's been quite surprising. We've seen most of the so-called underdogs performing really, really well on the stream.
Well, it's kind of what I said this morning, where there's a big elephant in the room. Everybody wants to counter the elephant, but by doing that, they're opening themselves up to everything else.
Yeah. But this Battle Royale, this free-for-all, is the most entertaining thing that we could hope for, I think.
Yes, definitely.
If you have plays like that in that last round, then we're going to be entertained. All right, so what have been your personal highlights of the day?
Gustav Max.
Okay.
That's a big obvious one.
That's it?
The fact that we had a Mecha Phantom Beast player that was playing at this level was amazing. Absolutely. The fact that Christia, which is one of my personal favorite cards, back when I was playing Melodious, because they're all fairies. Fairies are good. Is, again, just amazing. Just everything in general. Today has been a good day.
It was a very good day, I think, as well. Yeah, we've had a wide variety of decks on the stream, and all of them showed us that they are very viable contenders in this field.
It's out there. It's ready.
All right. With that, we're signing off for the time being. That's the last time we're going to see you today.
Yes.
So thank you very much, Rob. Great job as always. We're going to be right back with one last interview for the day before we wrap things up. In case you're wondering, and I know this question is on the mind of many of you guys, it is 9:30 local time. Tomorrow morning we're going to start at 9. So in 11.5 hours, no matter where you are in the world, you don't have to figure out what the time in Europe is. 11.5 hours is when we're going to be back for day 2 of YCS Bochum.
Yes.
That's easy enough to remember, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. So adjust your clocks. Set the alarm for tomorrow morning, because it's going to be another 10 hours of entertainment with dueling action. And with that, we're signing off from day 1 for YCS Bochum.
Yes. And you guys have a nice night, and I will see you in 11 hours. I'm going to sleep.